If, from a designer developer perspective, if you were given the task to design for Android and iOS from top to bottom, which is faster to market?
Okay, so the question is
The same design
same.
objectives. Of course, you've got different ones. Describe one as schizophrenic.
Yeah. So if we're going to design an application from scratch, go iPhone or go Android?
Yeah, you start both teams at the same level.
Yeah.
Which one would end up faster?
I would probably say that the Android team might get there faster. But it depends what they're trying to do a little bit. Sorry. User interface, I think construction is a little bit easier. The tools are a little bit better for Apple. But to get it to market, Android might get to market faster because it's faster to deploy an app into market. Because you don't have the lengthy Apple approval cycle associated with it. I think that can certainly weigh in on deploying an application for Apple. But if you're deploying an application internally, and you're using like UIDs or something like that for deployment, and you're not going through the Apple marketplace, iOS may actually be faster because they've got better toolkits to build applications with, in my opinion.
Does that play into the level of quality?
I think it has.
Is there enforcing standards?
I think it does affect quality. Android has a lot of applications, but they also have a lot of really bad applications. Apple has their own set of bad applications too. But I think that the level of application, let's call it a nightmare of trying to use one, from Android can be really hard. Again, because people aren't updating them. There's no quality level there. Honeycomb's, I think, a great example with the new tablets. If you look at the Android marketplace, at least a couple weeks ago, there were 60 applications for Honeycomb that were on the Android marketplace as featured tablet apps. I think probably 10 were actually written for a Honeycomb tablet. Dropbox is a featured tablet app. Love Dropbox. The form fields took up the full 8-inch display in landscape. It was like no one had ever looked at that application as a designer and said, this is okay. It's a form field that's 1/4 inch high and 6 inches wide. So I think that, but again, there aren't great tools for developers to do layouts and things like that that Apple, I think, with Interface Builder has. So there are some definite benefits to what Apple has, just in terms of good layout design. And there's elements I can drag and drop. May not be the way that everybody develops apps, but I think you can develop apps pretty quickly in iOS that look good, at least.
What is some of the software that you use for your designs?
Let's see, software. I use a lot of different stuff. Really depends on the client and what they're looking for, and where we are in a product life cycle or design life cycle. So early on in a project, it's maybe more strategy, so it's the PowerPoints and InDesigns, things like that. I tend to wireframe things in InDesign or OmniGraffle. I tend to design in Photoshop or Illustrator. Really depends. If I'm designing something for multiple screen sizes, Illustrator is a great place to start because I can move up and down, I can change some scale. It's also, I tend to take wireframes and pump them into Dreamweaver and create HTML mockups. So you can bring those into the tablet really easily and crank around them and see how it is to interact. So I think I use lots of different tools, but because I don't actually develop applications so much, I don't really use some of those development tools more than just to hack around and make sure I can sound intelligent about it.
What's your opinion of mobile enterprise app platforms and where they're going and how that relates to apps natively developed and the tools that Google or Apple intends you to use?
So borrow some things from Apple, from Android. I believe BlackBerry said that they're going to allow Android applications to run at some level inside the BlackBerry environment. I haven't seen one of those actually in action, so reserve judgment. But I think overall, BlackBerry applications are the most exciting to interact with. Visually, I think they've tried a lot to evolve their applications. They bought TAT in Sweden to help kind of boost their user interface team. But I think they have a lot of catching up to do with the applications, but also people are really familiar with BlackBerries. Like they love the BlackBerry UI. Everybody loves their little rollerball until it goes bad. You know, everybody loved their jog down on the side, and they didn't want to switch to the thing in the middle because they become really addicted to the particular way that they're interacting with that device. I think it's the point about frequency of use. You know, it's a habit, and it's hard to break. So I don't even count BlackBerry out, but I definitely think that Windows is going to be a formidable platform in the enterprise space. You know, the way that they've integrated Office applications and email is great on Windows Phone 7. And I think with Windows Phone 8, they're making more improvements, and it's going to be really a great platform, both to design for and to develop for. So I think that enterprises that are deploying Microsoft functionality and Microsoft things into their enterprise, Microsoft's going to be a logical choice as they start shipping hardware again. And I think with Nokia backing them up with actual hardware, and you know, HTC and Dell and everybody else is developing Microsoft products. So I think we're going to see a resurgence there that we haven't seen in a few years. But I think we had a conversation about this last night. I wouldn't necessarily put WebOS high on the list of enterprise devices, but I wouldn't necessarily count them out. You know, with HP, they could deploy into large enterprises with lots of market share immediately as an overlay. So you could see WebOS pop up. Android, I don't think, because of security problems, is going to be really large in the enterprise at the moment. Once they start to button things up and clean it up a little bit, I think Android can get there too. Any questions? All right. Thanks a lot.